Hello, Capricorn. My name is Kristen Simone Hansen, and welcome to Secrets. Capricorn, this is the Runner Chaser Taker Giver Soul Contract Part 2. And the first video was directed to the unrepairable relationship. I did mention some healing there, but it was more self-healing, as in how you, yourself, or the individual can change this kind of personality within themselves. But this video is directed toward those of you that are in this partnership and are looking to heal it. Now, I always have caution when it comes to healing these kinds of relationships because they are based on some very toxic behavior patterns, but they can be healed if the people themselves put in the work and at their core have good intentions for each other or healthy intentions for each other, but there could be some unhealed trauma or some outside circumstances that are impacting the couple. And usually that is could have been two people that met at the brink of some serious heartbreak. It could have been two people who are impressionable for whatever reason. It could be because they're young. It could be because you guys are struggling to trust each other. It could be because you're from two very different backgrounds or parts of the world. Could be that you have big groups of family, friends, religion, etc. But these relationships can be repairable if they are in those kind of dynamics where it's like other people are causing you to have this kind of dynamic with each other because the way they're bleeding into your situation, or there's just some residual baggage that you guys need to work out with one another. So how is it that you begin to heal this dynamic in order to come together in a healthier way? It begins with accountability, and it's accountability on both sides. So the giver needs to take accountability for the fact that the giver is not necessarily holding space for the taker to provide in the connection. So the giver is doing so much, kind of can be smothering, kind of can be over nurturing, kind of can be too invasive in a way where the giver is carrying the entire partnership alone. And yes, it may be with good intentions, but that can make it so that the taker feels so smothered and also feels like there isn't any space for them to grow or do anything when it comes to the partnership. So the giver needs to take accountability and pull back and say, okay, I'm using the word I, need to understand how to not force, control, coerce, manipulate the situation by proving my worth, value, assets, benefit that I can have to the taker's life. Okay, and then the taker takes accountability by saying, I have to show up in understanding that the way in which I deal with my emotions is unhealthy, running from how it is that I feel, being avoidant, maybe responding to smothering or over nurturing in a way where you close off, you shut down, you're looking to find or become more valuable in other partnerships or in other places because you can feel smothered by the giver's energy. You can feel like the downside of the giver, as I said, is you can make the taker feel like they don't have their own value, or that they, especially if the taker is a masculine person, that they are not, that what it is that they have to give is not valuable enough to stand up to or outweigh how much energy the giver is giving, or how much the giver has to bring to the table. So the taker is dealing with a lot of insecurity, usually because the giver is somebody that, again, can be a better lover, a healthier person, have more. There's something about the giver that is more abundant, and it puts the taker in an insecure space where they feel as if though they're not woman enough, man enough, person enough, whatever it may be, in order to have this kind of dynamic with the giver energy, and it makes it so that they can run from the giver because of that insecurity, because they just feel like they don't necessarily have as much value. Now, it's not to water it down or justify, but as I said, this is a healthier video for the partnerships that are repairable. And in these dynamics with a healthier kind of taker, it is not necessarily someone that is coming from a overt narcissistic space. It usually is derived from insecurity, feeling like they're not good enough, feeling like they don't deserve the giver's energy, and not necessarily being comfortable in a space where they can navigate that insecurity, not necessarily wanting to be in a partnership where they feel like they're so outweighed, or so they seem like such a burden, or they seem like they're just holding the giver back, etc. And the giver will then, the more the giver shows up, the smaller the taker feels. And so the taker then goes on to, run. Like we said, the taker is the runner, and try to find value in other spaces and other situations. In a healthy taker giver dynamic, usually the taker is not necessarily running to other people, unless you guys are not exclusive, but usually they're not running to other people to partake in those kind of relationships. Usually they are running to like friends, family, work. They're avoidant. They're trying to avoid the giver energy because they're looking to find their sense of security. They also want to figure out things on their own. A healthy taker desires to be able to be a provider of some kind of energy. Again, if it's the feminine principle, a provider of good love, of care, nurture, etc. on their own. If the taker is a masculine energy, being able to be a provider, a protector, knowledgeable, etc. on their own. So they're running to try to find those spaces where they feel the most confident in, away from the giver's energy. And it can feel very painful because the chaser doesn't understand. Because the chaser is dealing with their own insecurity, the chaser continues to try to help this person, but you're smothering this taker energy because the taker who is healthy does not want to be given to that much. They do not want to be in a position where they feel submissified. And they want to feel as if though they are equally yoked and they are showing up in a dynamic, which is a good thing. That's a sign of a good situation, but it's being dealt with in a very negative way. It's being dealt with in a very toxic way. So the taker must take full accountability in terms of that, deal with their own self-confidence, deal with their own insecurities, take time, and I'm sorry, giver, but I would say take time away from the giver and restore your own sense of identity, restore your own sense of value. The taker in this situation really needs to understand that they have value on their own and they need to seek it and do what it is that they need to do in order to feel like they can show up in this connection in a way that is equally yoked, or they will continue to grow resentful and resist the giver's, chaser's energy. And so it's also taking accountability for the fact that running away from things is not going to solve them. And it's kind of taking that moment to kind of pull yourself away from the situation, but in a healthier way, and taking the time that it is that you need. Now, both people, everyone can be both in terms of giver, chaser, givers and takers, etc., runners, chasers. I think we all have been them at different points in our lives for various reasons. They're rooted in insecurity. It's rooted in the instability and the shakiness of the dangerous game that we call love. And love can be very terrifying. It can be just as healing as it is something that is damaging. And many of us have dealt with those feelings of feeling unworthy in various ways and then responding to that unworthiness by either kind of hiding ourselves, like the taker tends to do, giving just enough of themselves and then running so that the other person doesn't see their insecurities, doesn't see that they feel like they don't really have value or that they're not deserving of how much the giver is giving to them. Or we can feel so insecure and so wounded within ourselves, we'll chase and chase and chase after someone that does not want us or is not interested in us or isn't as great as we are pedestalizing them to see. Again, you start when it comes in terms of being healthy and getting out of these dynamics that are healthier, meaning like, in the first video, the unrepairable, I was talking about it being a much more of a shadow experience in terms of healing versus this one. It's less of a dark shadow and it's more of a personal issue that you can solve with each other in one connection. And then if you are dealing with this independently, it all goes with you taking the time to love yourself, value yourself, especially again for Capricorn placements. You are not measured by what it is that you can give, what it is that you can provide, what it is that you can do. Love is natural, love is organic. Love is not something that you have to prove. It just is. It is so important for Cap placements to understand that, because there is a part of you that, due to some various amounts of trauma, ego, etc., you can feel as if though you're just like, look at all that I have. And then you can attract these really damaging partnerships because you lead with that instead of leading with who it is that you are, not what it is that you have, not what it is that you have acquired. And also in terms of your insecurities, some of you guys can run into the kind of connections that you feel very insecure in because someone sees your value before you, because you guys tend to look at the physical. So you can attract really great partners that you may feel like you're not good enough for, or you're not ready for, or their lifestyle is different than yours, or their dynamic is different, the way they think is different, their education, their culture, whatever it may be. What does this person see in me? You know, you're still going through those insecurities of, again, measuring yourself based on the outside. When you have potential that is natural and organic, it is seen by everyone. It is not something that you need something physical to say that it is as it is. You are as you are. And if someone sees your potential and they see your value, let them love you as you are and allow yourself to be given to and watered so that you can grow and develop. You don't have to go at everything and say, oh, I have to do it by myself, or I have to do it alone, or I have to prove, I have to, I'm not good enough, or I have to run away from this person until I build all of these finances, or I build this image around myself, because then I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And then that's not true. Again, love is about who you are, not what it is that you have. Okay, so this is the wrap up of the runner chaser dynamic, and it's a little bit of a brief one, but I just wanted to talk about it and kind of clarify that for you guys in terms of what can be repaired when it is on the healthier side. I also wanted to mention that the Prepare for the Season sale is going on right now, and it's going to be now until, I want to say, December 4th. So that link is in the description, like you guys requested for me to put it there and then also mention it here. So I followed suit. It is mentioned here in the video to remind you, and then the link is down below. And in this case, it is a natural ad. So it's not like before where I would do codes. And from what I know, I've gotten some interesting feedback. Some of you guys prefer the discount code. Others of you guys like it this way. I'll make another poll so that I can get a clear answer in terms of what you prefer. But this time I just made it so that when you go onto the website and you add it to the cart, you see the change in the price. So as I said, I'm going to add the poll to the community page, and you guys can let me know in terms of what you think is better. Do you prefer a code because it feels more like something that you can see and feel and touch, or do you prefer it to just be organic and you add it to the cart? Okay, so I will do that. Love you.